Last night I dreamed something that keeps coming up in the comments over and over again. People asking me, how do I remember my dreams? Apparently most people can't or have trouble doing so. I have a few methods that I use, and they're working for me most of the time. Of course, I don't know if you'll have any success with them, but most of us forget our dreams 5 or 10 minutes after waking up. So as soon as I wake up, I make a conscious effort to remember the details of my dreams. I don't do anything until I can remember at least a few important details, and once I can remember one or two details, I can generally fill in the gaps, because I'll think about this scenario or this conversation with this person, and then I just ask myself, okay, now how did I get to that point? Why were we doing this? Were we going to do something after this? How did we get here? And from there I can either move forward, backward, and I gradually remember more and more details and form a sequence of events to recite for you all. If I wake up in the middle of the night and I've already had a dream, before I lay back down and try to fall back asleep, I first of all try to summarize the details of that dream in words. I don't necessarily speak them out loud, but I try to describe the dream I just had in my own mind, and then once I come up with a synopsis that I feel comfortable with, I just repeat that 5 or 6 times in my own mind to just commit it to memory before I fall back asleep. I find that if I do that, there's a greater likelihood that I'll be able to remember that dream as well as one that I might have after I fall back asleep. In the morning, if I don't immediately remember what I just dreamed about, I sit down on the couch alone, close my eyes, and concentrate and try to remember, because I know that it won't be very long before I'm just unable to do so. I've found that if I speak to someone about anything, if I have any kind of conversation, answer any questions anybody might have before I begin this process of trying to remember my dreams, that it's much more difficult. The first episode in which I was unable to remember my dreams, I spoke with my brother about something. My mom had asked me a question. Just having conversations and getting my mind focused on other matters, I feel kind of just, I don't know, just it makes it much more difficult to remember your dreams. And when I do sit down on the couch alone, when I isolate myself, close my eyes, I want to keep as much stimuli out as I can. And when I begin this process, I start by covering people and places that I'm familiar with, scenarios that I'm constantly put in daily life. I'll start and be like, okay, was my brother in this? Think about my brother. Okay, was my mom in this? Was my younger sister in this? Was work? Was I just at work? Was I in my old high school? Was I in my old work? I'll just go through a list of people, places. Was I out for a walk in the evening? I like to walk in the evening. And so I'll just go through these, and usually one or two of them will just kind of ring a bell, and then I can begin the process that I described to you before. Like, okay, all right, I was there. Why was I there? Oh, that's right, because this had happened. And then I just start connecting everything together, and then usually before I hit record here on my flip cam, I just think the details over very carefully and try my best to recite them to you coherently, despite the fact that it's very early in the morning, and during most of these, the filming of most of these episodes of Last Night I Dreamed, I haven't had my first cup of coffee, I haven't had any breakfast, and I'm just not fully awake yet, and therefore unable to express my thoughts eloquently. So yeah, those are my tips for remembering your dreams. If any of you have any methods that you've had success with, please share them in the comments below. Are you wearing pants?